I guess the biggest group like support network for me has definitely been my training group. So we're based in Geelong and go to the track with them, go to the gym after. Obviously, once you go step away from sport, like there's obviously people I know from uni and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't say there's any like formal groups.
I'm very active with the matured age students group at Monash University, obviously, because I'm a PhD student there. I also identify with single parents group and dog lovers. I absolutely love dogs.
Yeah, first and foremost, I am a law student, so very involved in my student community. And then also being a business owner, I have my group of employees and my business partner that I would say we're our own little community in and of itself. Having my podcast has really connected me more broadly in both the social sense, but then also just in an interest sense to a lot of other young people who work in diverse professions across, trades and beauty industry and, more business backgrounds as well. And then I'm also queer identifying. So I have that connection to community there as well.
I feel like I am heavily involved in the African community, especially the South Sudanese one, as I mentioned, because of course, that's my background. And kind of like all that I've ever known growing up. I'm also, of course, a part of the Australian society. Being a woman, female as well, puts me in another type of society. But I feel like my communities are very much so based on like my interests and my background and like my culture mainly, instead of like physical sports and things like that.
So I'm currently identifying with the Indian and Australian community. Also, there's another community called the third culture community, which is pretty much because I was born in India, but I didn't grow up in India. I didn't grow up in my parents' culture. And because I moved when I was 7 to Australia, I didn't grow up in the Australian culture. So I'm a mix between two different cultures. So I fit into this third culture. And that's one of the other community groups that I'm part of.
I was born and raised in Australia. However, both sets of my grandparents, shout out to them, they were actually migrating from Italy and they had the choice at the time whether to choose Australia or the USA. And they chose to come to Australia and made a life of their own here, which is super great. And the communities that I identify with is basically my friends and family. They make up my own community as well as my heritage and background, which is Australian born, but also with the background of Italian.
I am a Lebanese Australian. My mum was born in Lebanon and my dad's parents were born in Lebanon and he was born here. So I do identify as a Lebanese Australian. Have been very assimilated within the Australian community though, but there are still a lot of that Lebanese kind of influence in the way that I've been brought up in my experiences. So definitely identify as a Lebanese woman. I also identify in the woman community as a woman in the woman community.